In a neighborhood where white picket fences lined the streets and laughter echoed from every home, the Hendersons seemed like the ideal family. But behind the curtains of their picturesque life, something sinister was brewing. A devoted wife, a controlling husband, and a daughter caught in the crossfire of secrets too dark to imagine. When Lisa Henderson's lifeless body was discovered at the foot of their staircase, it was ruled a tragic accident. But whispers began to spread. Whispers of a man consumed by forbidden desires, and a woman silenced when she got too close to the truth. What really happened on that cold December night? Was it an accident, or was it cold-blooded murder? Stay with us as we uncover the layers of deceit, obsession, and betrayal that led to a family's ultimate destruction. The answers will leave you speechless. Let me know if this needs further tweaking. The Henderson family lived in a serene suburban neighborhood where every home seemed to tell a story of happiness and stability. Robert Henderson was a well-respected businessman known for his calm demeanor and meticulous nature. His wife, Lisa, was the heart of the family, a compassionate homemaker and a devoted mother to their daughter, Emily. Emily, a vibrant young woman in her early 20s, was pursuing a degree in art and often described her family life as stable, if not entirely harmonious. Outwardly, the Hendersons seemed perfect. Neighbors often saw Lisa tending to her garden or Emily walking the family dog. They were the kind of family that hosted barbecues and sent out cheerful holiday cards. But perfection, as many would later discover, was a mask. Beneath the surface lay a brewing tension, subtle arguments, distant gazes, and moments of unease that were easy to overlook but impossible to ignore in hindsight. Robert had always been a figure of authority in the family, but his control began to extend beyond acceptable limits. Lisa, while loving and supportive, was growing weary of her husband's dominating behavior. Emily, caught in the middle, often avoided conflict by retreating into her studies. However, the cracks in their relationships deepened when Lisa discovered a disturbing truth about Robert's intentions. This revelation not only shattered her trust, but also set in motion a series of events that would lead to unimaginable consequences. What began as subtle tension spiraled into an all consuming conflict, one that would forever change the lives of everyone involved. In the days leading up to the tragedy, the atmosphere in the Henderson home grew heavier. Lisa confided in a close friend about her fears, hinting at something sinister, but stopping short of revealing the full extent of her worries. Meanwhile, Robert became more irritable and withdrawn, avoiding direct conversations and spending long hours in his study. No one could have predicted the storm brewing behind the closed doors of their picturesque home. What would later be uncovered was far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined, a story of manipulation, obsession, and betrayal that would leave a community stunned and a family in ruins. It was a cold, quiet evening in the Henderson household when tragedy struck, a night that would forever be etched in the minds of everyone who knew the family. Lisa Henderson was found lying at the foot of the staircase, her body motionless and her face bruised. Robert's frantic call to 911 described it as a terrible accident, but something about the scene didn't sit right with the authorities. The story, as it would later unravel, was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. In the days leading up to the incident, Lisa had been on edge. Friends recalled her growing unease, though she never fully explained what was bothering her. She had confided in her sister, mentioning that Robert's behavior had become increasingly controlling and erratic. Lisa hinted at something dark, something she had discovered but didn't yet have the courage to confront head on. That fateful evening began with tension. Neighbors later reported hearing muffled shouting from the Henderson home, though no one thought it serious enough to intervene. Inside, Lisa and Robert were locked in a heated argument. Lisa had uncovered a disturbing truth about her husband's intentions, something so shocking it shattered her perception of the man she had loved for years. Emily, caught in the middle, had left the house earlier that evening to avoid the conflict, not realizing she would return to a nightmare. What transpired next remains a chilling account of premeditated violence. As the argument escalated, Robert's demeanor shifted. He was no longer the composed and calculating man Lisa had known, but someone desperate and dangerous. In his mind, Lisa's discovery was a threat, a secret he couldn't allow her to expose. When words failed to silence her, Robert resorted to something far more horrifying. The evidence would later reveal how meticulously he planned the act. Investigators found traces of cleaning products and deliberate efforts to stage the scene as an accidental fall. But even in his calculated approach, Robert overlooked key details. Lisa's injuries told a story of struggle, with bruises on her arms and marks on her neck that contradicted the narrative of a simple fall. Emily's return home marked the beginning of the end for Robert's cover up. She was the one who found her mother and called the authorities, her screams piercing the silence of the night. Though Robert tried to console her, his behavior raised suspicions. His explanation lacked consistency, and his cold, detached demeanor hinted at a darker truth. When investigators arrived, they immediately noticed inconsistencies in Robert's account. The positioning of Lisa's body, the lack of typical signs of an accidental fall, and the unusually pristine state of the area all pointed to foul play. What began as a standard investigation quickly turned into a case that would uncover a web of lies, manipulation, and murder. As the pieces fell into place, the true horror of what happened that night would leave everyone questioning how well they truly knew the Hendersons. The investigation into Lisa Henderson's death quickly turned from routine to extraordinary as detectives began piecing together the events of that fateful night. Um, Initially, Robert's account of an accidental fall seemed plausible. He described Lisa as being tired, stressed, and occasionally clumsy, painting a picture of a tragic household mishap. However, the cracks in his story began to appear almost immediately. The first signs of foul play came from the physical evidence. Forensic examiners noticed bruises on Lisa's arms and scratches on her hands, injuries inconsistent with a simple fall. The staircase itself, though steep, showed no signs of an accident. There was no blood spatter or misplaced items that could have caused a trip. More concerning, the bruises on Lisa's neck indicated she may have been strangled before she ever hit the floor. Detectives searched the Henderson home, looking for anything that could confirm their suspicions. In Robert's study, they discovered receipts for cleaning supplies purchased just days before Lisa's death. Surveillance footage from a nearby store showed Robert buying bleach, gloves, and rope, a chilling combination for someone preparing for a cover up. Interviews with neighbors revealed more troubling details. Several recalled hearing loud arguments from the Henderson home on the night of Lisa's death, but none of them called the police, assuming it was just a domestic disagreement. Emily's friends later disclosed that Lisa had confided in them about feeling unsafe around Robert in the weeks leading up to her death. The most damning evidence came from Robert's phone. Forensic analysis uncovered deleted text messages to a close friend where Robert vented his frustrations about Lisa. In one chilling message, he wrote, "She's becoming a problem I need to solve." This, coupled with a series of Google searches about staging a fall and accidental death injuries, painted a horrifying picture of premeditation. Uh, Witnesses were crucial in building the case. Lisa's sister, who had grown suspicious of Robert over the years, provided valuable insight into their tumultuous marriage. She described Robert as controlling and manipulative, recounting incidents where he would isolate Lisa from her friends and family. Emily, too, became a key witness. Although initially defending her father, she broke down under questioning and admitted she had seen her parents argue violently in the days leading up to the tragedy. The case reached its turning point when police discovered a hidden journal in Lisa's bedroom. In it, Lisa had detailed her growing fears about Robert's behavior. One entry read, "I don't feel safe in my own home anymore. Robert is not the man I married. I'm afraid of what he might do if he feels cornered." This chilling testimony from beyond the grave was the final piece detectives needed to charge Robert with murder. The investigation not only uncovered the truth about Lisa's death, but also revealed the deeply rooted dysfunction within the Henderson family. Robert's controlling nature, Lisa's silent suffering, and Emily's struggles with loyalty and fear all came to light. It was a case that would leave a lasting impression on everyone involved. A stark reminder of the dangers lurking behind closed doors. The impact of Lisa Henderson's murder rippled far beyond her immediate family. For Emily, the loss was more than just the death of her mother, it was the shattering of her entire world. Her father, the man she once looked up to, was now accused of an unthinkable crime. Friends and relatives described Emily's transformation from a carefree young woman into someone weighed down by grief and guilt, questioning whether she had missed the signs of her father's intentions. The community was equally shaken. The Henderson family had always been seen as a pillar of stability in the neighborhood. Lisa's death and the allegations against Robert forced neighbors to confront the unsettling reality that even the most seemingly perfect families can harbor dark secrets. Candlelight vigils were held in Lisa's memory, with many expressing disbelief that such a tragedy could occur in their quiet suburban enclave. Lisa's closest friends shared stories of her kindness and strength, painting a vivid picture of a woman who deserved far better than the life she endured. They spoke of her passion for gardening, her devotion to Emily, and her resilience in the face of Robert's controlling behavior. These recollections were juxtaposed with the stark reality of her final days, which were filled with fear and uncertainty. The media coverage amplified the case's emotional weight, drawing national attention to the complexities of domestic violence and psychological abuse. Advocates used Lisa's story as a platform to discuss the warning signs of abusive relationships, urging others to seek help before it's too late. The public outcry for justice became a rallying point, with many demanding stricter measures to protect victims of domestic violence. In court, the emotional toll was palpable. Emily's testimony was particularly heart-wrenching as she recounted the escalating tensions in her home and the devastating moment she discovered her mother's lifeless body. Her words brought many in the courtroom to tears, including jurors who later admitted that her raw honesty played a significant role in shaping their understanding of the case. Lisa's sister also took the stand, sharing the pain of losing not only her sibling, but also the trust she once had in Robert. Her words were a poignant reminder of the far-reaching consequences of Robert's actions, which had torn apart a family and left an indelible mark on everyone who loved Lisa. The emotional impact extended to the legal team and investigators as well. Detectives who worked tirelessly to uncover the truth admitted that this case was one of the most emotionally taxing of their careers. They spoke of sleepless nights spent piecing together evidence and the deep sense of responsibility they felt to ensure Lisa's story was told and justice was served. In the end, Lisa's tragic death became a symbol of resilience and the enduring need for awareness and advocacy. While her life was cut short, her story inspired countless others to speak out against abuse and to seek help in breaking free from dangerous situations. Though the pain of her loss will never fully heal, Lisa's legacy lives on as a beacon of hope for others trapped in similar circumstances. The trial of Robert Henderson was one of the most shocking and emotionally charged cases the community had ever witnessed. From the outset, the prosecution painted a grim picture of a man consumed by control and jealousy, who would go to any lengths to maintain his dominance. Lisa's death was not a tragic accident, they argued, but a calculated act driven by years of emotional manipulation and escalating abuse. The courtroom was packed daily, with journalists, family members, and curious onlookers eager to hear the details. The prosecution began by methodically laying out the evidence, starting with the forensic findings that contradicted Robert's claim of an accidental fall. Bruising patterns, the lack of consistent injuries from the supposed fall, and signs of struggle painted a vivid and horrifying picture of Lisa's final moments. The jury listened intently as experts described how Lisa's injuries pointed to manual strangulation, not an accident. Witness testimony was another critical component of the trial. Emily, torn between love for her father and the need for justice for her mother, took the stand in one of the most emotional moments of the trial. Her voice trembled as she recounted the increasing tension in their household and the arguments that had become more frequent and intense in the weeks before Lisa's death. She spoke of moments that, in hindsight, she recognized as warning signs: her father's unpredictable anger and her mother's growing fear. Lisa's sister also provided powerful testimony, sharing insights into Robert's controlling nature and recounting Lisa's desperate calls for help. These testimonies were further supported by friends and neighbors who had witnessed the cracks in the Hendersons' seemingly perfect facade. Each new detail added weight to the prosecution's argument, creating a chilling narrative of premeditated murder. The defense, on the other hand, tried to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. They claimed that Lisa's death was indeed a tragic accident and that Robert was a grieving husband unfairly accused of a crime he didn't commit. They presented alternative explanations for the forensic evidence, arguing that the bruising and injuries could have been caused by the fall itself. The defense also attempted to highlight Robert's good standing in the community, bringing in character witnesses to testify about his calm and composed demeanor. Despite these efforts, the evidence against Robert was overwhelming. The journal entries Lisa had written about her fears, the chilling text messages Robert had sent, and the deliberate attempts to clean and stage the crime scene left little room for doubt. The prosecution's closing arguments emphasized Robert's meticulous planning and lack of remorse, urging the jury to deliver a verdict that reflected the severity of his actions. When the verdict was announced guilty of first-degree murder, the courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and sorrow. Emily broke down in tears, torn between the justice served for her mother and the loss of her father to a life behind bars. For Lisa's family, the verdict was a step toward healing, though they knew the pain of her absence would never truly fade. The case left a lasting impact on everyone involved, from the jurors who grappled with the weight of their decision to the community members who saw their once idyllic neighborhood in a new, darker light. It became a cautionary tale of how appearances can be deceiving and how unchecked control and manipulation can spiral into tragedy. Above all, it served as a reminder of the importance of speaking out against abuse and the resilience of those left behind to seek justice. In the aftermath of Robert Henderson's conviction, the consequences of his actions continued to unfold, leaving deep scars on everyone connected to the tragedy. Emily, now orphaned in a sense, struggled to rebuild her life. The weight of losing her mother and the betrayal by her father left her emotionally fractured. Friends described her as a shadow of her former self, caught between anger, sorrow, and the immense pressure of navigating life without the family she once knew. Lisa's family channeled their grief into advocacy, using her story to raise awareness about domestic abuse and its hidden signs. They partnered with local organizations to create programs aimed at identifying and preventing domestic violence, hoping to spare other families from similar pain. Lisa's sister became a public speaker, often sharing her personal journey of loss and resilience to inspire change. The community, once a quiet and seemingly safe suburb, faced its own reckoning. Neighbors questioned whether they had missed warning signs or failed to intervene. The Henderson home, now a symbol of tragedy, remained unoccupied, its presence a somber reminder of the darkness that can hide behind closed doors. Legal experts and psychologists also weighed in on the case, analyzing the psychological manipulation and control Robert exerted over Lisa. His actions became a case study in understanding the dynamics of coercive control and its devastating consequences. This led to calls for policy changes, with lawmakers advocating for stricter penalties for psychological abuse. As time passed, Lisa's memory endured through her family and the lives she touched. Though justice was served, the emotional scars remained, a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the courage it takes to confront abuse. Her story, though tragic, became a beacon of hope for others, ensuring her legacy would continue to save lives long after her untimely death. The conclusion of Lisa Henderson's tragic story is a sobering reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked control, manipulation, and betrayal within a family. Her death serves as a chilling example of how even the most outwardly perfect lives can harbor unimaginable darkness. As Emily tries to rebuild her life from the wreckage of her family's destruction, her story is a testament to resilience and the enduring human spirit. This case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about domestic abuse, the silence surrounding it, and the societal failures that allow such tragedies to unfold. Lisa's life, though cut short, became a catalyst for change, inspiring many to speak out against abuse and seek help for themselves or loved ones. Her story challenges us to reflect: how many lives could be saved if we looked closer, acted sooner, or refused to accept silence as an answer? In the end, Justice was served, but the cost was immeasurable. The Henderson tragedy will forever be etched in the minds of those who witnessed it. A story of love turned toxic, a life lost too soon, and the lingering echoes of a family shattered. As we close the chapter on this heartbreaking tale, we are left with one haunting question. What can we do to ensure stories like Lisa's are never repeated?